There is actually one thing that's better than editing a video about a motorcycle, which is riding a motorcycle.
It's a 100 zone, baby! I am the speed!
And you know, I just about did get my fill of riding a motorcycle because this is July the 31st. I lost my gloves! Day 6 of riding a motorcycle over 6,000 kilometers across Canada. Today is the last morning in Ontario. Thank goodness I finally made it. Oh, wow. You know, Ontario was cool, but you know, I was just about having enough of being inside of one province. I was ready for a change of scenery, and oh boy, was I excited to get to Manitoba. So this morning I woke up. I decided that since the previous morning I got absolutely destroyed by mosquitoes while I was making breakfast, today I was going to skip that because there was a McDonald's not terribly far away. And I said, no, today I get to treat myself. I'm going to Mickers. And I'm going to Mickey for my brekkie. So the morning started off with just a quick 40-minute jaunt into Kenora, Ontario. Really, really close to the border with Manitoba. Now, I haven't brought this up a whole lot in the video series so far, but the range on my 98 V-Star 650 was quite a limiting factor about what exactly I could do. And so far, it hadn't really been a problem. I had my 5 liters of emergency gas with me. Wasn't a huge problem. But I got at most about 230 kilometers out of a tank on this thing. And I was getting into the prairies. I was going to be stretching it. That's what we call foreshadowing. But this morning started off absolutely fantastic. As I was having breakfast in the Kenora McDonald's here, I actually got a hold of some of my in-laws because they're all in Steinbach, Manitoba. And so I made some plans to meet some folks over in Steinbach, have lunch over there, and the day was just looking absolutely fantastic. And of course I was making a point to stop at all the things worth stopping at, so I got to see this bad boy. And this fella is named Husky the Muskie. This is perfect. Absolutely love this stuff. I 1000% just driving from spot to spot to see these statues. This is the best. And I kind of figured since I was going to be going up to all these different spots, I should really do something at each of the spots. And for some reason I settled on a thumbs up. So here you go.
The sign's gone. They took away the Welcome to Manitoba sign. What the hell? I was so stoked.
So for literally the last 2,000 kilometers crossing Ontario, the speed limit had been 80 kilometers an hour. So you need to understand my excitement when I crossed into Manitoba and saw this 100 kilometer an hour sign. It was the greatest feeling that maybe ever experienced riding a motorcycle.
It's a 100 zone, baby! I am the speed!
You know, then suddenly going 100, maybe a little bit over 100, it feels like the earth is just flying past after going so slow for so long. And then came up the exit for Steinbach, Manitoba. Steinbach used to be like the regional center for all the car dealerships. So all those smart people over in Steinbach, they put their heads together and they said, what should be the slogan for Steinbach, Manitoba? What's going to draw the people in, right? What do the people want? The slogan that they came up with was Steinbach. It's worth the trip. Beautiful. Wordsmiths. So thank you to Aunt Kathy for the wonderful lunch at Blatt's Bistro here in Steinbach, Manitoba. So heading out from Steinbach, my goal for the night was to get to Estevan, Saskatchewan. So I'm doing like 800 kilometer days or so, and I really want to get to Estevan so I could spend the next day in Estevan and Weyburn, Saskatchewan, because you know I just really like Saskatchewan and I really wanted to check the area out. But tomorrow is going to be the only day that's actually kind of slow. So anyway, so I took off from Steinbach, and I didn't really want to take Highway 1 across Canada because, you know, that's That's kind of boring. You know, that's just a big wide highway. So I mostly went with the Red Coat Trail for going westward, which was nice. Lots of little towns, lots of little things to see, not so much traffic, and man, I just preferred it. I really enjoyed the Red Coat Trail. Great highway, great route. There's enough gas stations for the most part. Yeah. But really, the incredible thing heading out of Steinbach is that this is only about 150 kilometers away from the Manitoba and Ontario border, and it looks completely different. The second you get out of Ontario, it's got to be a different tectonic plate or something. The landscape changes completely. All the trees are gone. It's flat. It's different, and different was exactly what I needed. And I absolutely love the flatness of the prairies. I grew up in BC. I grew up in the Rockies, and seeing the flatness of the prairies, I just absolutely love it. It's just so different from what I'm accustomed to. You know, I really wish that the prairies had taken a little bit longer to cross. Honestly, I wish that Manitoba had taken a little bit longer to cross, because I just wasn't done with it. You know, after spending so long in Ontario, I was across Manitoba in like 6 hours, and I felt like I got ripped off. And when it comes to landscapes and landmarks, prairies do not fail to deliver. All right, you're coming up on the prairies, you get Husky the Muskie. Then you come up and roll in here, you got a giant pumpkin. And then you're thinking, what could be left? You know, what do I think of when I think of the prairies? Do I think of tumbleweeds? Do I think of like those little moles? No. I think of camels. And if the Canadian prairies make you think of camels, then Glenborough has you set up. Oh. And this is also kind of neat because for some reason I didn't think to actually like take very detailed pictures of my motorcycle on the way across, and this is the only shot that I have of my motorcycle all set up for riding. That's perfect. And then next was this tiny little gas station that only had a single pump. And then back out I go into the flatness of southern Manitoba. Alright, so how I kept everything charged is actually going to be relevant in a second, so I finally get to tell you about it. I had installed a 12-volt accessory port onto my battery, and then I ran that accessory port wire into my luggage in the back, which could charge my power bank, which was nice. And then I ran an additional wire from the 12-volt power port all the way up the motorcycle into my little glove box thing. That way I could charge my phone and whatever else I had to charge as I was going. Because I was hammocking every night. I wasn't expecting to spend very much time inside of hotels. So throughout the day today, my phone had started off fully charged, and then it was kind of trickling down, right? Because I was doing all my navigation on my phone. And it wasn't really, the charging wasn't keeping pace with how quickly it was draining. And it wasn't really an issue until about the middle of the day, when it was pretty obvious that my phone was going to die before the end of the day, and it just wasn't charging. And I didn't really have time to stop. And I kept on made little knots, because if I made the cord sit in the right place, it would kind of charge. But about halfway through the day, it just stopped charging entirely. And then because I'm also a silly goose, I also decided to change my route a little bit, which ended up putting me onto this really long dirt road where I had to drive really slowly for a really long time, which is why I get this next shot.
So it's not often that I'm going slow enough that I can actually talk to the camera, but here we are. I'm on a dirt road, waiting to get to an intersection with Route 85. I'm in Saskatchewan someplace. Now, the entire time up to this point, my phone has been charging faster than it drains while I've been using navigation. But most of today, that has not been the case. Ever since this afternoon, it's been draining faster than it charges. Still got about 250 kilometers to go to Insta that, where I'm going to spend the night. Got 7% battery right now. I've turned it off. Hopefully it'll charge. Hopefully. is this? There's no label saying what this road is. It'll be 8 Wish I could use my navigation to find out. That'd be sick. So yeah, so all that to say, phone's dying, faster than charging. I need to get to a place where I can buy gas, but get to town. But I'm stuck on a gravel road to like under 50. 240 kilometers to go. Things are not looking good right now. At least not for navigation. Things are looking good. For everything else, look at it. This looks sick. Yeah.
So now I was just like kind of aimlessly out on country roads, and my phone was turned off because I only had 7% battery left and I didn't want it to die completely. And I just kind of rambled to the camera for a little while, just like to give myself something else to do. Also, the last time I'd filled up with gas, I forgot to reset my trip meter. So I didn't know how much gas I had left in the tank, and this 98 V-Star doesn't have a gas gauge either. So I was really worried that I was going to run out of gas. And of course I didn't know where the next gas station was because my phone was turned off. So I had kind of some compounding problems going on here.
This is it. I have wandered through the wilderness on a horse with no name. That's a double song reference. Concrete, baby! Ah! Yeah! I am the speed! Woo! Woo! Ricky Bobby! Take it back to me! Take it back! Woo!
So I guess the second best feeling I've ever had on a motorcycle, like right after getting into the 100 zone, was getting back onto this concrete, because I was on the gravel for like 50 minutes at least. I was just worried it was never going to end, and I was going to run out of gas, and there was literally nobody around to help me if anything happened. So at least if I was back on a concrete road, at least there'd be somebody around, which just would have been nice.
I lost my gloves! No idea where I left them. I don't remember taking them off. Like, I probably took them off, I guess, the last. How did I get here? I have no idea how this happened. I don't know what happened. How did it get here? I gotta go back and watch the footage. I don't remember when I took these off. I don't understand it, but I'm very grateful. Weird. I don't even know why I bothered. Fuck it.
So although I didn't have my navigation anymore, I knew that once I got back onto the main road that there was going to be a gas station before I ran out of gas, because that was why I went on this route, right? So I wasn't too worried quite yet. I knew the next gas station was coming up, and here it was. It came up. I found it. I got to it, and it was pretty relieving, you know. It was a nice time. And when I got to it, it wasn't open. Now, for the sake of some audiences, I've cut out all the swearing because there was a lot of shouting at the sky.
All right, I'm in Redfern, Saskatchewan. This is a Petro Canada. And it closes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got maybe 30 kilometers left in the tank, 80 kilometers of extra gas. My phone doesn't charge. I connected to the external battery just now. It seems like that's doing it. I'll figure out where the heck I am in relation to where I can buy gas. I can't buy gas. Or I should stay until I can. Place opens 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So I'm gonna see if I can use my phone to figure out what to do. Because it seems like a turn down. Alright, there's a co-op up the road, 100 kilometers. I should have enough gas to get there. We're dipping into the 5-liter emergency fund. Because there's no way there's enough in the tank. Yeah, it's a co-op. I should have asked if they're a card lock. The Google listing does not say they're a card lock. I did call them to ask. They were actually open until 10, like the Google listing said. Which they are.
So with the knowledge that I might be in for a very long walk, I started off across the Canadian prairie. And it was actually kind of relaxing. You know, by this point, my extra gas was already in the tank, so all there was to do was to drive until the issue solved itself. Either I was going to run out of gas and be stuck in a spot, or I was going to make it to the gas and then continue on my way. But for now, I just got to ride off into the sunset and see what was going to happen. And thankfully, I did make it. I got gas. Oh my goodness. It was... I couldn't even hear it sloshing around the tank anymore when I got to the station. It was so low. But I got it. And I got another charging cable so that my phone could charge off of the motorcycle instead of having to use the battery pack. So everything really came together. It really just about ruined my day. But yeah, everything got figured out. So I was hammock camping, right? And the thing with hammocks is that you need trees to put them onto. And I got into Estevan, Saskatchewan, and I couldn't find any trees. Oh my goodness. So I ended up doing a lot of riding around in the dark until like midnight trying to find trees. And there's no footage of it because it was totally black outside. But I caved and I got a hotel room. And that was that. That was the day. It was a really great day.